Hi everybody, my name is Melinda Hart. This is Stamping with Hart, where we do fun and crafty things. We are actually going to be focusing on a coloring technique today using the Stampin Blend markers. I'm going to be featuring the Monster Bash stamp set for this coloring technique. So let me just show you really quickly. The Monster Bash suite is available in our holiday catalog. This is the 2019 holiday catalog, which runs from September 4th, 2019 to January 2nd, 2020. I can't believe we are that close to a new year. I'm just going to flip to the Monster Bash section, and I apologize, my allergies are really kicking up today. Okay, so this is the Monster Bash suite, and this is an example of how they've colored their mummy and their vampire. These are the stamps we're going to be working with today. The stamp set is called the Spooktacular Bash stamp set. I'm also going to show you the ornate frame dies. These pair together beautifully, but I'm going to be tying in the color that I cut for the dies into the coloring technique so that everything's coordinated. I'll show you what I mean by that. So the whole suite is available for purchase, or you could purchase items individually if you would like. So let me just show you these really quickly, and then we'll start stamping and coloring. So these are my guys. Trying to get a view on the viewfinder here to see if you can see that clearly. I hope so. So with these stamped images, I have colored in the vampire and the mummy, and also their background. And the concept that I had in my head was that they were standing in a window, and it was like this spooky, glowy window that you see in like haunted mansions and castles. And I was inspired by a certain children's Transylvania movie when I was thinking about what colors I wanted to use and how I wanted to color them. And I think that that's always fun. I'm always referencing books or movies, what have you, whenever it comes to designing and coloring and creating. So I love how cute they are. We're going to be coloring today. So Dracula has a little bit of like a reddish orange glow. And then with the mummy, I just wanted to show you two different options. This is a lighter frame where the glow is all around the mummy and it gets darker as it fades out to the frame. And this is the opposite. This is a darker frame, and the shadow is actually around the mummy, and then it glows behind him. I couldn't decide which one I liked better, so I did both. I ended up going with this one more, and I'll show you that. But anyway, this is what we're going to be working with today. So I'm just going to show you from scratch how I created those. And let's do this. So we're going to get a stamping block. I'm actually using one of my paper pumpkin blocks today. The stamp set, Spooktacular Bash, like I was telling you, it comes like this. And I keep my slip for these. But let me just show you. So here is Dracula, and here is my mummy right here. So we're going to be working with these two. These are actually sticky. These are called cling mount stamps, and I can tell you more about that. I'm actually going to be doing a video series on the basics of crafting if you're new to it. Since my channel is new, I feel like I should really start from the basics. We're focusing on a coloring technique today, but I can walk you through all of these different products and the features and all of that. But yeah, so this is a cling mount stamp, which means it's a red rubber stamp and it has a sticky adhesive here, but it's reusable. So we're going to use our block to adhere Dracula, but you can see that once he's on, he's on. He doesn't, they don't come off until you peel them off. So we're going to start with him. I am using Memento Black ink today. And the reason that I'm using this is because this is actually something that you can use alcohol markers with, and the ink won't bleed or transfer. So this is the ink pad. So we're just going to take our stamped image. If you've never stamped before, this is basically how we do it. We ink up the stamp. So you can see we're getting some color there. And he's getting darker. I'm actually going to do this face down. That might be better for the sake of the video. Okay. And that's looking pretty good. And then we just stamp. So if this is your very first time using a stamp set, we just want to give it a second for the ink to transfer to the paper, and there you go. So we'll just do that and repeat a few more times. Just making sure that I get the whole image. And now I am going to switch to the mummy. We're going to be sure to clean our stamps after and put them back. So now I'm just inking up the mummy. Okay. I don't know how much my microphone picks up right now, but my mom is watching my son in the other room. And he's definitely up to something. So I apologize if you can hear that. Okay. So we just get our mummy images. I'm going to close up my ink. Now, of course, you could stamp as many of these as you need for your decorating or your party or your favors. But now we're going to work with color schemes for these. So with the vampire, I wanted to use the more traditional colors. So I just want to talk about the reds for 1 minute here. So we have a few different reds that you can choose from. These are Stampin Blends. I often get the combo pack. The combo pack means that there is a light and a dark. So this is light Poppy Parade and dark Poppy Parade. I ended up choosing Poppy Parade because it's more of an orangey red. But you could also do true red, or real red, I apologize, real red. There's light and dark real red. And this is more of a bluish red to me. So I wanted kind of that yellowy, orangey, reddish color. So that's why we're going to use Poppy Parade. And then I'm going to be using Pumpkin Pie. So we have light and dark. When you order the Stampin' Blends, you could either just do light or just do dark, or you could buy them together as a combo set. And then I also am going to be using light and dark basic black. And the caps on these look like they're like a lighter gray. They're actually very dark, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Basic black is definitely accurate for that particular marker set. And this is one of my favorites. This is definitely one of my favorites for the glowy window. So this is Pineapple Punch, light and dark Pineapple Punch. And I just want to show you, I'll show you what I'm coloring, but that you have two different nibs that you can work with here. So this one is more of the bullet, and this is the larger, if you need to cover larger areas, this is the larger, wider tip that you can get into with that. And it doesn't mean that we're going to use every single marker on Drac, but we're going to use a bunch. And then for the mummy, we're going to do the grays, the yellow, and then the darker colors, the basic black. So let me just color for you here. Okay. So I tend to color the character first. And I forgot to mention, with my little vampire guy, I ended up doing gray for his skin, I believe. Yes. So I ended up doing gray granite for his skin, and I believe I used light gray granite. So this is where we're going to start. I'm actually going to focus on the character first and then go from there. But the one thing that I did want to say is, you know, you could do this however would work for you. You can work from the frame in, whatever is easier. So I am going to start with the lighter, and I actually color the coat and everything. You don't have to do that, but that's what I chose to do for him. This is a little collared shirt, so I'm going to be sure that I just stick to the face and the ears. A few tips about the Stampin Blends. So you can see basically the way that I'm coloring, I'm doing light feathery strokes. I'm not pushing hard on the tip. We really want the tip to keep its shape, so we're just being gentle with it. But the other thing about the blend, because it's an alcohol marker, is that it delivers the color very quickly. So the longer you would hold your tip to the paper, the more it would spread in that area. And I don't want it to get all over the place. I really just want it for his face, his ears, and you could do his hands. I did end up coloring his hands, but they also look like gloves. So if you would want them to be gloves, you could do that too. Many people portray vampires or Dracula as somebody who's a little on the OCD side, so they like to be clean and use gloves. Okay, so this is the light basic black, and this is the dark basic black. I'm gonna go with dark basic black just on the edges, and I'm gonna color in with the light basic black, and this is right over the ink. So like I said, you don't have to do this. You don't have to color the image. You could just let the ink stand for itself, but I really liked the look that it gave me from using the marker with it too. I'm going to keep those little highlights that were designed right into the image. This is a really nice set in terms of the art. Really cute. And I don't know, I know that for Halloween it tends to be definitely one preference or the other. Either you love it or you don't. I am of the love it category, so I will definitely be doing quite a few Halloween projects. We're going to be working on a lot of like decor and treat boxes and things. As much as I love cards, it's not really something that I give out much for Halloween. I think just for the sake of experimenting for the video, I'm going to do one in all of the dark basic black, and I'll do this one in the lighter so that you can see the difference. It's pretty subtle, but you'll be able to see what I mean. I just like the richness of this, and because the entire image is going to be colored, I think that that's nice to have throughout the whole image. You can also leave these black and white and not color them at all, but since today's a coloring technique video, That's what we will go with. So I love all of the classic monsters. And this is what this set sort of channels for me, but in a cuter way. Okay. All right. And then I'm also going to do just touches on his eyebrows and his hair. Again, I want to leave the highlight. It's one of those things where I have not gotten used to coloring and talking at the same time. I'm so used to either listening or watching videos when I'm doing my own crafting that when I did decide to kind of take the jump and start a YouTube channel, it's definitely an adjustment. You have to pay more attention to what you're doing and what you're saying when you're working with this stuff. And it's fun, but it's, you know, it's interesting too. So for the frame, we're going to do the gray granite. Let me just make sure I'm still recording. I haven't told you all, but I've actually filmed so many videos and I have only put up one so far, and that was a Facebook Live. Anything that I've recorded up until now, I just didn't feel comfortable posting. I was either making mistakes or the sound was off or the lighting was off, and I'm still trying to get it right with the lighting, so bear with me on that. I will definitely figure it out. I'm still trying to find the best place in my home to do these videos. So I'm going to test out a few different places and see which is the best. So right now I'm just coloring the frame. I'm using the bullet tip side. And so for the glow, the one thing that I wanted to mention, so if you look at these two here, you can see that one's a little bit softer of an edge, the fade out to the yellow, and one's a little more concentrated. It really depends on your personal preference and how things are going with the markers. When you first get your Stampin' Blend markers, if you've never used alcohol markers before, I would describe it as like the same type of caution as when you're painting your nails, meaning you don't want to get too much, you know, in one spot. You got to keep it moving quickly because it starts to dry, and you don't want to have any. You want you want to have like a smooth finished nail polish. You don't want to have it messy and all over the place. So it's really the same concept when you're using alcohol markers to color. You don't want to keep it in one spot too long. You don't want to push too hard. You don't want to have too much. So we're going to go light. I'm actually going to use, let's see, this is dark pineapple punch. Let me start with light. So you can see with the Dracula, it fades out to yellow. So I'm just going to do the lightest as the base first. My pineapple punch is a very often used marker, so the tip is starting to get a little wobbly on that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is the darkest color around the vampire, and I'm going to do the dark Poppy Parade with this one, but I'll do light with this one so you can see the difference. Again, it's pretty subtle, but we'll just experiment for the sake of the fact that this is like a coloring technique. So I'm going to take the bullet tip side, and you can see, I mean, that's a definite like stark difference. So I'm just going to go as thin as I can. I want to be careful not to color him red. So just going along the edge here. And then after I finish with the red, I'm going to bring in the middle color, and then I'll show you how I try to blend it out. So I'm going to bring in the dark pumpkin pie, and I'm going to go right over the red. I'm going to keep it close where we're trying to make it a little bit more glowy now. Okay. And now I'm going to get the dark pineapple punch, and I'm going to start blending all of the colors a little more together. So I'm going right over top of the red and the orange, the Poppy Parade and the pumpkin pie. And I'm blending it into the light pineapple punch, that lighter yellow. You can definitely experiment with these colors and see. If you only have the one, the one marker, then you don't have to worry about if you're going to choose light or dark or this or that. If you have the combo packs and you want to just, experiment a little and see what the dark looks like versus the light, or should you do a light with the dark or both, this will give you a good idea. So now I also want to color his shirt. And I think for this one, I'm going to use the red. So I'm going to use the light Poppy Parade. I'm just going to go in there, color his shirt. Okay. So with the darker, you can see he's a little closer to his side. Now, I wonder how clearly you can see this on this video. I wonder if the lighting is good enough. I actually used the darker gray granite to give him some darker eyelids and some little under eye circles and everything. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So this is the dark gray granite. So basically we're just sort of creating the light and the shadow technique. And I can see here, I was coloring so long with the blends that the color did bleed into his hair a little bit. It's not a big deal. You can always fix your mistakes. But if I had gone a little bit lighter, then that would have stayed white. But that's what I mean. It will definitely start to bleed. It'll start to bleed into different areas of the paper if you hold your nib or your tip there for too long. So that's definitely a tip that we want to keep in mind whenever you are using the Stampin' Blends. But I have to say, I adore these markers. Ever since I got these, I have been coloring images nonstop, and it is actually very therapeutic. It's very calming. So you can take a look and see what the difference is here. So the next steps would be cutting it out and then layering it onto this piece. And what does that look like? So let me just show you really quickly. I had everything sitting together and now I don't see them. Hold on. Here they are. Okay. So you will often hear me talking about stamps, which are these guys. And we have a phrase called dies. Dies is really because it's a die cutting system. That means these are specific shapes that you can use to cut your paper with. I ended up putting mine in a baggie because I was working with them so much. but you will have these little frames that match and go right over. And then you would run that through your die cutting machine, which I'll go into in another video. And then you have your layering piece. So you could actually just either stop here, or you could add in your layering piece. And we know that it's a layering piece because one fits inside the other. So this is what the layering pieces look like when they are cut. You could just use your basic cardstock. This is orange. I did gray. I did black. I think I did some purple. I think I used up all my black ones, so I'll have to cut some more of those. But anyway, we would just pop Drac right on top of that, and then you put him on your treat box, or you know, whatever project that you're using. It could be a card. It could be something that you're using for decor, like a decor piece. These are pretty versatile, and I'll show you the different ways that you can end up using these. And yeah, so that is the glowing window for Dracula. Now I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to use the lighter colors. So instead of putting the dark colors, I'm going to actually focus with the lighter colors. So let me just get the dark ones out of the way, just so that you can see the difference. Okay. The one exception will probably be the dark gray granite, but let's start again. Is Dracula. So I will do the mummies next, but this is just to show you the difference in the colors. So this is the light and this is the dark, the little more of the intense and a little bit of the lighter. I didn't even do the darker shading on the face for this one. For the mummies, I did a little bit of a different color combo. So there's no red. We do have the yellows, and I actually used just like a regular flesh tone color. This one is Petal Pink. I'm going to use a little bit of light and dark, but just the teeniest, tiniest bit for his face, just for the little bit of his face that is showing through the bandages. But even if you wanted to color it as a bandage, you could. I've seen people color the skin green and gray. I just decided to make it real looking. So let's go ahead and do both. Okay, and then for the bandages, let me just do my little touches here of the darker color. I only have the darker Petal Pink, kind of like as a low light here. So not all over everything that I just did with the light, just a little blending there. Okay, so we're going to go right back to our gray granite again, and we're going to color our frame. don't know why I keep saying we. Should be saying I. It's so funny, the things I don't notice until I'm filming. If you color outside the lines, it's okay, because you're going to be cutting the image out anyway, and you can either fussy cut it, which is just meaning you hand cut it out with scissors, or you could use your dies to cut it out with the die cutting machine. Okay, I'm also going to do some, I'm basically going to follow where they have the creases and the bandages, and that's where I'm trying to focus the gray that I'm adding in. It just gives it some dimension when you're coloring. Okay, so you can see, I mean, clearly the difference between the two when you just add in those little touches. Gray Granite is a runaway favorite for me. I love this color. I use it a lot, but you could definitely use the darker colors. That was the light. On this guy, I'll do the dark gray granite so that you can see the difference in the colors. Okay, same thing. I'm just going to hit on the crease spots. I am definitely not a professional artist when it comes to coloring. Really just super basic eyeballing. Okay, so let's just take a look at these, the ones that I've already worked with. So we have the one that has the dark surrounding it, and then the one that fades to the dark. So light to dark, dark to light. We'll do dark to light first. I'm going to use the light basic black. On this one, I'm going to do the opposite. We're going to start with the yellows and work our way out. This is dark pineapple punch. I really do think that pineapple punch captures that glowy window yellow. It's so bright. It's so cool. It really looks like it's glowing. This was one of the very first Stampin' Blends colors that I invested in because I didn't know how many I wanted to buy. I didn't want to start with all of them because I wasn't sure if I was going to love them. Just like anybody else, you want to try it before you buy it. So I just bought a few colors. I think it was just super basic colors like a pink, a yellow, a blue, and a green, and went from there. And as soon as I tried them, I loved them. So now I'm going to start working with the grays. I'm going to go with the darker gray granite on the edge of the frame and kind of bring it in to match the yellow. Okay. I'm going to take the light gray granite and I'm going to go in a little bit further with it. I'm going to take my light basic black and I'm going to go on the very edges. Just darken this up a little. Once I do a very dark color like this, I will usually go to the lighter of the next shade down. Instead of the dark gray granite, I'm going to go straight to the light gray granite to blend it, just because the basic black is already so dark. I don't want to intensify that. And when I'm using my nib, I'm trying to keep it on the inside of the frame and just blend out some of that darker shade. And then once I feel like it's looking pretty good blend wise, I just move on to the next section. Once you get into a rhythm with this, once exactly you know what the colors are that you want for your characters, then you could actually just boom, 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 to go straight across the page. If you need 6, if you need 8, if you need 10. Once you get into the groove of coloring with your blends, it really does not take this long. This is really because we're experimenting with colors and demoing and talking. If you want to take your good old time coloring because it's just something that you enjoy and it gives you peace, then I say go for it. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to take my light pineapple punch and I'm going to start blending out again. You can see how it really just starts to give it that really faded, glowy, light look. So cool. I mean, I can't tell you enough how much I love the blends. I just love them. And just as a pop of color, I'm going to take my light basic black and just dab the eyeballs. And that just brings him to life, gives him a little bit more dimension, which is funny, bringing a mummy to life. But there you go. So yeah, I will list all of the products that I used in the video. So let me just review really quickly. We used Petal Pink Light and Dark for the mummy's skin, really kind of kept that true to life. I used mainly light pineapple punch for the mummy, but if you'd want to add in the dark yellow, the darker yellow, you can. We did gray granite. We did one in the light gray granite and one in the darker. So this is the lighter gray granite. This is the dark gray granite, just so that you could see the difference. But you could also use both colors for more dimension in the actual, you know, in the same project or on all of them. And then we also used the basic black. So I think I stuck with mostly the light basic black as well with the mummy, just because the dark is so dark. But you could do both. And then the change in the colors for our vampire would be the Pineapple Punch duo with the Pumpkin Pie. We used light, we experimented with light and dark there. But again, you could use them in the same project if you would want to. And then the gray granite for his face. And you could leave his face, you know, the color of the paper, or you could make him like, you know, a more fantasy prone color, like a pink, a purple, or a green, or yellow, something like that. This is the basic black. And the Poppy Parade. So we used more colors on him, on the vampire, than we did for, let me make sure I just got that all in the frame, for the mummy. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. And then you would go ahead and cut each of these out. Cut out the layering piece, whatever color that you would want to coordinate with these. Glue them together and put them on your treat box. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit the subscribe button, the red button. Or if you want to share this video, you could go ahead and share this video. I would greatly appreciate that if that's something you feel comfortable doing in places where it is shareable. Definitely don't share it to groups if they don't allow that type of thing. Some of them have rules, but yeah, if it is something that they can share, that would be great. And be sure to like the video if you like coloring techniques, so that I will know if I should do more coloring technique videos. All right, thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.